Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and today we're going to be talking about my top 10 party board games. These are games that are uproaring, good times, things that make me laugh, things that make me just have so much fun with large groups of people. These are just amazing games to bring into these big social occasions. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the list with number 10. Number 10 is going to go to One Night Ultimate Werewolf. One Night Ultimate Werewolf has you playing as a group of villagers, and it's your job in order to find out who the werewolf or the werewolf team is. And you're going to do that through the use of all sorts of these special abilities. My favorite part about this game has to be the way that it distills the idea and the roles and the abilities from the original Ultimate Werewolf into a single experience with no player elimination. Players have to kind of figure out this puzzle with these twists and turns of the social deception in order to determine who is lying, who's telling the truth, and where the new werewolves are. There's a lot of cool abilities and powers that occur in this game, and I think that this is just one that's going to hit the table and be a success. I really like the narration in it. The app works extremely well to play as the moderator, so there's no moderator needed as well. This is a fantastic package, and I strongly recommend it if you're a fan of social deduction in small packages. So that's my number 10, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. My number 9 is going to go to the game Just One, a cooperative party word game where you're going to be trying to get a clue guesser hints to guess a secret word. But here's the twist. The different words here cannot be identical, because if they are crossed out as clues, and then the guesser only has a few to choose from. So, for example, can you give a guess as to what you think this might be? It's an extremely simple game, and my favorite part about it is that you have to be clever in your clues. A lot of the times you're going to be trying to pick words that maybe somebody might not know, but that still are going to be helpful if they do show up, or try to make some loose connection just so that your clue does not get eliminated. It's even more tense in large player counts because there are just so many potentials to get your clues crossed out. But this is a fantastic word game that is Just One, my number 9. My number 8 is going to go to the game Medium, a game of psychic links where the core is extremely simple. You're going to have 2 cards revealed, and both players are at the same time going to have to say the same word. 3, 2, 1, Thomas! Thomas the Tank Engine? Blue Train? No? Yes? If you get it right, fantastic. You're going to score some points. However, if you get it wrong, you're going to use those new words that you both blurted out. If you get it wrong, you're going to use those new words that you both blurted out and try to make another match. And you do this forever, basically, until you run out of the potential point markers. So this is a solid system, and it's just a great experience. I love the goofy words that can come out of this. Now, my favorite part about this game are just the laughs that ensue from all the ridiculous amounts of card combinations that could exist. It's really funny to hear certain people blurt certain things, because it's just something that you may never have thought of, or just didn't expect to come from that person's mouth. This is just a game that is rife for amazing experiences and just amazing moments. So I really like this one. That is Medium, my number 8. My number 7 is going to go to the game Balderdash, a game of extreme deception as well as goofy phrases and answers. What's going to happen is one player is going to be given a clue card, and this clue card has some word or definition or something, and that person is going to know the answer. They're going to write it down on a piece of paper, and everyone else is going to do the same thing, but they're going to make up their answers. Everyone's going to shuffle them together, and the people who don't know the clue are going to guess what the actual clue is. And based on how they do, they're going to be moving on this little track to try to get to the end, and this is extremely straightforward in the way it works. But the best part about this game, my favorite part here, is that the answers that people are going to be making are deceptive in nature. They are trying to sound like the game. Be as weird, be as strange, be as interesting as possible. Because these questions are absurd. They're going to be movie plots. They're going to be weird laws all over the country. They're going to be all sorts of really funny things that you're just going to have no idea. So the answer could be anything. It could be something really specific, or it could be Balderdash. And it's up to you to decide what is what. Fantastic game, hilarious time, and just the things people put on those pieces of paper, fantastic. So that's my number 7, Balderdash. My number 6 is going to go to the game Telestrations, a word drawing game of telephone, where you're going to have a word, and then the next player is going to have to draw that word. And then it keeps on going back and forth until by the time you're finished, you have no idea how it transformed. So how did reclining chair get to gynecologist? We'll never know, but this person sure had a great experience. My favorite part about this game is the story that unfolds. When it's finished, you're going to be going and showing off these pictures, and oh my gosh, they're just amazing. This really benefits groups that are just here to have a good time and have fun. You do not have to be a good drawer. You just have to be there and willing to sit and enjoy the experience. It is fantastic. I love this one. I just love the moments, again, that come from this. A lot of these are just laugh out loud games, and this is fantastic. So that's Telestrations, my number 6. Number 5 is going to go to Cockroach Poker, specifically the Royale Edition. This is a game of bluffing and creepy critters. So what you're going to be doing on your turn is giving one of these critters to a player and saying this is a something. It's then up to that player to decide, are you telling the truth or not, or do they want to look at it and give it to someone else and pose the same question. It's a game that eventually ends when somebody has too many of the same bug, but my favorite part about this Royale Edition are the introduction of 3 new cards. First off, there's a Royale suit, which does a great job in adding some more tension to potential cards. There's a penalty pile that says whenever you take that Royale suit, you take an extra card, and it could be a really big swing to things. It's pretty scary. And the other 2 cards are the can be anything and can be nothing cards, and they're just really interesting as they change up the game, as a situation you didn't think could exist somehow can now because of the existence of these 2 cards. It's such a fun time with great illustrations, quick decisions, and just a uproaring experience as you're passing stuff across the table and yelling about these different animals. It is amazing. I love Cockroach Poker Royale, a game of probabilities, but also just pure fun and excitement. That is my number 5. My number 4 is going to go to the game When I Dream, a word-guessing game of hidden roles. Every round there's going to be one dreamer who wears a blindfold and is trying to guess these clues that are in the center of the table by getting hints from the other players. Now, while that's happening though, each of those other players is going to be on a team. The fairies trying to get the dreamer to guess the correct thing, the boogeymen trying to steer them off course, or the sandman trying to get an equal amount of both. So it's up to that original player to determine what team is what and try to suss out who's actually giving good clues. This is such a cool experience, such a great way it's done, and my favorite part about this game are the different role cards. I think it's ingenious to have a kind of lopsided cast here, and trying to come up with clever clues as the Sandman or Boogeyman is just so fun because you have a limited amount of time to do it and you really have to be seamless with the way you do it. So it's just such a cool puzzle that you have to do on the fly, and it really brings and leads into that creativity. This is such a fun experience, and that reveal when you take off the blindfold and you see how well you did is just so funny, and getting to kind of tell the story about who was the boogeyman and who wasn't. And I love that the roles change every round as well, because you're never stuck with a role that you might not like for the whole game. I really like this one. That is When I Dream, my number 4. My number 3 is going to the game Monikers, an extremely simple box that just comes with a bunch of names and a bunch of information, but the game itself is golden. Now, the way this game works is you are going to have a pile of cards with lots of names on them, and it's up to you to give as many clues as possible to get the other players on your team to guess the word. Now, after that pile is out, you're going to score those points based on who got what, shuffle that deck back together, and then do it again, but you're only going to be using a single word hint. After that's done, you'll do charades. Now, by itself, this does not seem like it's a crazy, complicated, or convoluted game, but this game develops a language, a cadence, and a very cool code amongst the players. It is such a fascinating thing where you're creating the shared experience that is only going to live in that moment, but very may well show up in conversation and experiences forward. This is a memorable experience in a box that does so in an incredible way. Now, my favorite part about that game is just the amount of crazy clues that you may give to get somebody to get a correct answer, but honestly, my favorite way to play this game is using cards from other games. For example, we really enjoy using the Cards Against Humanity cards to play this game if you want something a little bit more rowdy and a little bit more uproarious. So you have some big choices here on how you want to play this game, and that's the beauty of it, is you can really customize it to whatever group you're playing with. So I really enjoy this system. This game as a whole, Monikers, is a hit. My number 2 is going to go to the game Rumble in the Dungeon, a very small, compact game of hidden identities. At the start of the game, you're going to get 2 tokens. These tokens have characters on them that exist in the dungeon somewhere. On your turn, you're going to be moving a character in the dungeon or using any character in the dungeon to attack another, which is so cool because what you do on your turn is going to have others think about why you're moving that piece, what you're doing, and really lead into some fun bluffing. This game is so interesting, so fun, but also has this great round system where you can play time and time and again. You're going to have this random setup each time, and you are doing the best you can. You're going to have this random setup each time, and you're going to be doing the best you can to do the best in each round. My favorite part about this game is just the quick action system and the fun reveal at the end when you're showing who is in the lead. Oh, it's just so fantastic. It's very satisfying when you see the results of your bluffs, and oh my gosh, it is definitely here in this game. I love this one. I love that there's so many different themes of it, and I just love the way that these characters move and interact. The artwork is on point, and the jokes and the fun that you'll have with moving these characters and watching them get slaughtered time and time after time. It's a fantastic experience. So that's my number 2, Rumble in the Dungeon. And my number 1 game has to go to Deception Murder in Hong Kong, the best social deduction game, the best party game. This is a experience that comes with its own arc. It's logical, it's fun, it makes you think and talk while also having a great time laughing at potential possibilities and try to decipher these stories that the forensic scientist is telling. There are so many things to love about this. So what is this game? This is a game about a police department in Hong Kong where one of their own has been murdered. So it's your job to figure out who this murderer is amongst all of you. There's going to be a murder weapon as well as a piece of evidence in front of each player, and the forensic scientist is going to know what these 2 items are for the specific murderer, but the murderer gets to pick those items. The forensic scientist is going to be revealing tiles from the top of a deck, and each time they do, it's going to relate to something about the murder. Is it the victim's personality? Is it where the murderer is from? You have all of these things that it's up to the forensic scientist to decide based on the items that are at the table. They get to weave a story, and it's up to the players to discuss. Now, some of these murder weapons and pieces of evidence are just outright hilarious, but there are also some things that are a bit serious, so it's up to you as players to determine when and what to use. My favorite part about this game has to come from just the variety of cards. The evidence, the murder weapons, as well as the different clues from the large tiles make an entire new story each time you play, and an interesting one at that. Some of the cards are hilarious, like Death by Chicken Bone, or a push, or a stone, or sometimes you'll have some crazy, really intense thing that you're like, oh my gosh, that person did this, and it's up to you to figure out what these things are. In addition, the evidence also weaves into the narrative. Is there going to be dog food there? Was it the eggs that led to the salmonella poisoning? It's up to you to decide what it all is as a team. This is the perfect social deduction experience, in my opinion, because it has a self-sustaining arc, actual leads that you can follow as you play, and just a game experience that is not only funny, but thoughtful and provoking. An absolute masterpiece of design. That is Deception Murder in Hong Kong, my number 1. And that's the list. Those are my top 10 party board games. The things I love bringing out with large groups, big crowds, for a great, fun time that's really easy to get into. What are your favorite party board games? Is there anything that I missed on this list? Anything that you think should be on here that I need to go check out myself? I'd love to hear what you think. But thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you have. It's the best way to help us grow. But thank you so much for watching. SideGame Strong.